When global tensions explode, this is the exact moment people expect leaders to rise. They expect confidence, direction, strength, and a sense that somebody serious is in charge. What they don't expect is hesitation, vague statements, and politicians acting like nervous commentators while the rest of the world makes the real decisions. That's why criticism aimed at Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese and UK Prime Minister Kier Starmer is gaining traction. Many people are looking at the Iran crisis and asking a brutally simple question. Where exactly is the leadership?
Well, now it is time for the debrief. Compare the pair. Here was Anthony Albanese's self-promoted ad on the fuel crisis. And here was UK Prime Minister Kier Starmer's self-promoted ad on the Iran war.
Prime Minister, what is the purpose of your visit here in the Gulf? What kind of influence do you think you can have?
Can you spot a pattern there? Albo and Kier are like two pathetic peas in a pod, two men masquerading as statesmen in the middle of a crisis. Here was Anthony Albanese claiming he'd been a proactive player in the conflict.
What we've been doing isn't just sitting back. It has been, what can we do?
Really? And here was Kier Starmer claiming he was leading a military mission to reopen the Strait of Hormuz, even though at the time of this press...
Before we continue, do us a little favour by subscribing to the channel, because over 98% of you watching haven't subscribed. It costs you nothing, not even a penny, to join this channel. Have you subscribed? Thanks so much.
Instead of seeing bold diplomacy, clear strategic messaging, or meaningful action, critics say both men have offered little more than polished talking points. Fancy phrases like de-escalation sound nice in a press conference, but when a major regional conflict is unfolding, words alone can feel painfully hollow. And let's be honest here, the public is smarter than politicians sometimes think. People know the difference between leadership and public relations. They know when someone is making hard calls, and they know when someone is simply trying to survive the news cycle without saying anything memorable enough to be challenged later. That's the heart of the frustration. Australia and the United Kingdom are not minor players with no voice. These are two nations with deep alliances, strategic relationships, military influence, and decades of diplomatic relevance. Both are close allies of the United States. Both claim to value international security and stability.
Bringing together 49 countries around a very simple message and proposition that the world needs the Strait of Hormuz fully open. Along with France, the UK will lead a multinational mission to protect freedom of navigation as soon as conditions allow.
So here we have two of the United States' closest allies, Australia and the UK, both of whom have fumbled this entire Middle Eastern conflict. Both seem to be taking credit, yet neither have done anything other than sit back as spectators, watched from the sidelines and thrown up tricky words like de-escalation. How naive of them. Because whether they like it or not, this is still our war. Now, we spoke earlier in the show about Anzac Day, this important day to honour those who fought for us, paid the ultimate sacrifice and continue to do so. And we still need to realise that we're still at war in 2026. The war
So when a major Middle East crisis erupts and both governments seem cautious to the point of invisibility, criticism becomes inevitable. Many voters don't expect reckless warmongering. Let's be clear about that. Most reasonable people are not demanding dramatic military gestures or chest-thumping theatrics, but they do expect seriousness. They expect clarity. They expect a visible role. They expect their leaders to sound like participants in world affairs, not audience members watching events unfold from a safe distance. And that's where Albanese and Starmer are being hit the hardest. Anthony Albanese has often presented himself as calm and measured, but moments of international crisis can expose the downside of that style. Calm can quickly look passive. measured can start to look timid. In normal times, cautious politics may work. In dangerous times, it can look like indecision. Keir Starmer faces a similar issue. He built much of his political brand around competence and professionalism, but competence without conviction can come across as sterile management rather than leadership. If all the public hears are carefully balanced phrases designed to offend nobody, then nobody feels inspired either. And in geopolitics, weakness has consequences. The world respects nations that know what they stand for. It respects governments willing to speak clearly and act decisively. It may not always agree with them, but it notices them. What gets ignored?
That's why this criticism resonates. People are tired of modern politicians who treat every crisis like a communications exercise. They want authenticity. They want someone who sounds like they believe something deeply enough to defend it. They want a leader who can explain not just what is happening, but why it matters and what must be done next. Instead, too often we get phrases engineered by committees, monitoring the situation, calling for restraint, encouraging dialogue, seeking de-escalation. These statements are not useless, but they are incomplete. They are the political equivalent of saying a lot while risking nothing. And in moments of danger, risk-free leadership doesn't feel like leadership at all. This is also about national identity. Australia has long wrestled with whether it wants to be a confident middle power or simply a loyal junior partner following larger allies. The UK, meanwhile, still claims global relevance after Brexit and decades of shifting influence. Crises like this test whether those identities are real or just nostalgic branding. If both governments vanish into passive language when pressure rises, then critics will naturally ask whether either country still has strategic confidence. That may sound harsh, but it is exactly why people become frustrated with political elites. They talk endlessly about values, responsibility, and global partnership. The best leaders translate complexity into confidence. They help the public understand the stakes. They reassure allies. They warn adversaries. They make difficult moments feel manageable because someone capable is steering the ship. That is what people crave right now. Instead, critics see Albanese and Starmer as two men trying not to make mistakes rather than trying to make a difference. And that distinction matters. Leaders obsessed with avoiding errors often miss the moment entirely. History rarely remembers the most cautious person in the room. It remembers the people who stepped up when it counted. That doesn't mean reckless action. It means visible conviction. It means saying, here is where we stand. It means showing your nation has a backbone. It means proving that alliances are partnerships, not hiding places. If Albanese and Starmer want to silence critics, they need to do more than repeat diplomatic buzzwords. They need to show strategic purpose. They need to speak plainly. They need to demonstrate that Australia and the UK still matter when the world gets dangerous. Because right now, many voters are looking at both leaders and seeing something they deeply dislike. Politicians who seem more comfortable reacting to events than shaping them. And that perception can be devastating. Once the public starts believing a leader is weak, every future hesitation confirms it. Every cautious sentence sounds smaller. Every delayed response looks worse. Fair or unfair, politics often runs on momentum and image as much as policy. This is why moments like the Iran crisis are bigger than one news cycle. They become character tests. Do these leaders have presence under pressure? Do they have conviction when stakes rise? Do they lead, or do they simply comment? Right now, a lot of people think they already know the answer. What do you think? Are Albanese and Starmer being sensible and responsible? Or are they proving critics right by standing on the sidelines while others make the real moves forward? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, because this debate is only getting started. If you enjoyed this breakdown,
Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next big story.